What is up guys, this is ABK here and welcome back to another Brawl Stars video here on the channel. Now guys, in today's video I will be rating all of the star powers for every brawler that are available in the game right now. Now many people have different thoughts and views about each star power, and today I'll just be telling you all which ones are better than others and which ones really help pushing a brawler in trophies. There are some star powers which are really fundamental in you being able to push them. So I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on all of that as well. And also, I am not a professional Brawl Stars player or anything, so what I say, you guys might have a different opinion on it, but that is alright since everyone should have their own opinions. Now, if you guys enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to the channel, as it really helps me in making more videos like this one. And if you all have any other video suggestions, make sure to put them down in the comment section. Okay, so we'll be starting with the starting brawler, obviously, which is Shelly, and her first star power is Shell Shock. Now, I will give this a B rating because it really helps Shelly catch up to her enemies, and when she's really close to them, she can deal a lot of damage. I think the best game modes for this is obviously solo showdown and duo showdown because that is what Shelly is best at. But it can also be used in Brawl Ball in some scenarios. Now Band-Aid, I'll be giving it a C rating. It's just because I feel Band-Aid is only useful in solo showdown and duo showdown. Next up we have Nita, and her first star power is Bear With Me, which I will be giving a C rating. Now Bear With Me, it can be used in some situations, maybe like gem grab or duo showdown for health, but I just think that Nita's other star power is just way better than her first one. That's why Bear With Me goes in C tier. And speaking of Nita's other star power, Hyper Bear will go into the B tier as well. Now, when Nita's gadget first came out, I am sure Hyper Bear would have been an S tier star power, but now her gadget has gotten a lot of nerfs, and because of that, Hyper Bear 2 isn't a very good star power, but it is still better than Bear With Me, so it goes into the B tier. Next up we have Colt, and we have his Slick Boot star power. Now this really helps Colt to catch up to his opponents and to deal massive damage. So I will put Slick Boots as a B tier star power. Next up we have Magnum Special. I honestly think this is better than Slick Boots just by a little bit. They both are good in their own ways, but I think Magnum Special is better overall, especially Siege and Heist. I think Magnum Special is best there, so Magnum Special will go into the A tier. Next up we have Bull, and its first star power is Berserker. Now Berserker, it is good in solo showdown, duo showdown for dealing the damage, but I think it is best in Heist if you just want that raw damage. And that's why, since it's only mainly used in Heist, I will give it a B tier rating. While Tough Guy really helps Bull live and tank a lot of hits, and combined with Bull's gadget, it helps Bull to take a lot of hits and then to deal lots of damage when Bull is really close to his opponents. Because of that, I'll put Tough Guy in the A tier. Next up we have Jessie, and her first star power is Energize. Now Energize is really good for keeping her turret alive, and if you attack her turret, the attack will actually bounce off as well, which is really cool, and it helps keep the turret alive. And against other brawlers who don't have a lot of DPS, I think Energize is really useful there. So I will put Energize in the A tier. Next up we have Shocky, which is just increasing the range of Jessie's turret. So that's still an okay star power, but I think Energize is way better to get. That is why Shocky will go into the B tier. Now we have Brock, and his first star power is Incendiary. Now Incendiary is a pretty good star power. I'll be putting Incendiary in the B tier. Next up we have rocket number 4, where Brock has a 4th attack slot. This is really good in dealing total damage to other brawlers. So I would say rocket number 4 is better than Incendiary, but I don't think it's that strong enough, which would just make Brock much more better with rocket number 4 than Incendiary. That's why rocket number 4 will go into the B tier as well. Next up we have Dynamite, and his first star power is Dyna Jump. Now what I am saying might be controversial, but I am putting Dyna Jump as our first S tier star power. Now why is that? Well, hear me out guys. Any skilled Dynamite player will always use Dyna Jump in the right scenarios, and it is game changing. I'm telling this to you all. If you are skilled with Dynamite, you will definitely go for Dyna Jump. So obviously Dyna Jump for other players it might not be as good, but for pro players it is game changing and absolutely fundamental for their gameplay. While Demolition, it is better for less skilled players with Dynamite, which most of us are, I think. Because of that, most people would use Demolition. So because of that, I'll put Demolition in the A tier. Next up, we have Bow with Circling Eagle. Now, Circling Eagle is only useful in certain maps and it's not useful in others. Because of that, I'll have to put Circling Eagle in the C tier. While on the other hand, Snare a Bear right now is a really good star power combined with Bow's second gadget, which is called Tripwire, where obviously Bow's mines, and with Snare a Bear all enemies will be stunned as well. Because of that, I will put Snare a Bear in the S tier. Right now it is amazing, and right now Bow is one of the best brawlers in the game. Now we have Tick with the well-oiled star power. It helps Tick recover faster when he is in a bad situation where he is close to dying. And since well-oiled requires Tick to not attack, I will put well-oiled in the C tier. Now with this second star power on the other hand, you normally do want Tick to put up as many mines as he can. So automatic reload I think is overall better, but I don't think it's insanely good. That is why I will put automatic reload in the B tier. Next up we have 8-bit with Boosted Booster, which just increases the range of his turret. Now Boosted Booster, I think it is only useful in 3v3 modes. But still, if you are using 8-bit in a 3v3 mode, which you normally shouldn't, it can still be really useful. That is why I will put it in the B tier. And next up we have Extra Life. Now, Extra Life, it is an S tier star power if you are using it in solo showdown, maybe in duo showdown, mainly in solo showdown. It just gives 8-bit an extra life and it is insanely good guys. So Extra Life has to be an S tier star power, and it is one of the most game changing star powers in the game for sure. And now we have the final trophy road brawler, which is Ems, and her first star power is Bad Karma. Now this is good if you just want to deal damage, but I think it can get a bit more of a buff, so I will put it in the B tier. And next up we have Hype. Now Hype will only really be used in solo showdown or duo showdown. So if you're using it in a 3v3 mode, it's not really that useful, I would say. That is why I'll put Hype in the C tier. Now we will start with El Primo's first star power, which is El Fuego. I will put this in the C tier guys. Hear me out, hear me out. It is not burst, right? It is after every second the enemy takes 300 health. This I would say is only really useful in heist or maybe in siege, I would say. That is really it. and because of that it's not really that useful. That's why I would say it goes in the C tier. Next is Meteor Rush, which is definitely an A tier star power. This helps El Primo catch up to his enemies and this helps him deal a lot of damage. I think it's really useful in a lot of situations, so it goes in the A tier for me. Next up we have Barley with his medical use star power. Now this star power, I was on the fence about it actually at first. I was confused if this should be an S tier star power or if this should be an A tier star power. For me, I think it has to go into the A tier just because of how useful it is for Barley. Whenever he throws one of his attacks, he gains 400 health straight away, so you never have to stop attacking with Barley, which is always good with throwers. You never want to stop attacking. You want to be annoying for the enemies. So A tier stuff sounds good to me. Next up we have Extra Noxious, which adds 140 damage per second to his attack. This is useful in Heist and Siege, but otherwise I don't think it's really that useful. But it can be useful in some situations, not that many. So it goes into the B tier. Next up we have Poco with the Capo, however it's pronounced. Straight up S tier, guys. Now you would normally use Poco in 3v3 modes and maybe sometimes in duo showdown, but not many people use him in solo showdown, right? The Capo is insane, especially if you're playing Poco double tank in 3v3 modes. It is very good. It is an amazing star power, has to go into the S tier for me. Next up we have Screeching Solo, which can throw some of your opponents off because you don't normally see Screeching Solo. But otherwise it can be useful in some situations, but I would say don't really use it because with Poco you want to heal your enemies up. You don't want to be the high damage dealer, right? So for me this goes into the B tier. And now the final rare brawler, Rosa. Her first star power is Plant Life, which helps her recover health when she's inside a bush. I would say Plant Life is an S tier star power. Why? Because Rosa's gadget helps her make grass. So if you make grass and if you stay inside the grass, you'll be healed 200 health every second while you are dealing immense amount of damage. And when Rosa gets her super as well, she can tank even more hits, and it is crazy what Rosa can do with this star power. Next we have Thorny Gloves, which just increases her damage when she has used her super. This I would say it's okay. The thing with Rosa is Plant Life is just so much better than Thorny Gloves. Not many people use Thorny Gloves. That's why I'm going to have to put this in the B. Alright, now starting with the epic brawlers is Rico with Super Bouncy. Now, both of Rico's star powers are good, but which one is better? Well, I would say Super Bouncy isn't as useful as Robo Retreat. Super Bouncy can be used in maps which only really have walls, so it's dependent on the map really. Because of that, I'll put it in the B tier. Next up is Robo Retreat, which really helps Rico a lot. You see almost everyone using Rico with Robo Retreat, getting below the 40% health and having that faster movement speed, being able to deal lots of damage at once. It's really good. I'll put Robo Retreat in the A tier. Now we have Daryl with Steel Hoops. When Daryl rolls onto an opponent, Daryl will take almost no damage, guys. It is really good. He only takes like 10% of the damage. That is sick. For those reasons, I'll put this in the A tier. Next up we have Rolling Reload, which doubles Daryl's reload speed for 5 seconds after using his super. This again is really only useful in Heist. At least I would say it should only be used in Heist. For those reasons, I'll put it in the B tier, although it can be used in Showdown and all, so it is a bit versatile, but still, Rolling Reload is not as good as Steel Hoops. Alright, now we have Penny with her last blast star power. Now, before Penny's second gadget came out, I would have said Last Blast would have been B tier and Balls of Fire would have been A tier. But now, just with Penny's gadget, second gadget, you are just able to throw 5 to 6 shots with that added fire range. Man, right now Balls of Fire is way better than Last Blast. Because of that, Last Blast has to go into the C tier and Balls of Fire will go in the A tier, just because, again, I said it earlier, second gadget, 5 to 6 shots with that added radius deals way too much damage and is insanely good in heist and siege. It is amazing. It has to go into the A tier for me. Alright, now time for one of my favorite brawlers in the game right now, Carl. Power Throw. This star power helps Carl to just deal his attacks faster. And for those reasons, I'll put it in the B tier. It's not as bad as it looks. Now, Protective Pirouette reduces the damage he takes while he's using his super. Now, this star power right now, it isn't as good because right now many brawlers can stop Carl's super, right? You know, you have gadgets, supers, all of that jazz. So for those reasons, right now Protective Pirouette has to go into the B tier as well. But before gadgets were brought into the game, I would have put Protective Pirouette in the A tier. Okay, now we have the final super rare brawler with Jackie. Now we have Counter Crush star power, which I'm not even going to talk about. I hope most of you all know that it is a terrible star power. I mean, it's not terrible. It's useful in a few situations, but those situations too, it's almost never that helpful. It has to go into the C tier. It does almost nothing to benefit Jackie at all. While Hardy Hard Hat pretty much increases Jackie's HP by 15%, which for me has to go into the A tier. It helps Jackie tank a lot of hits and thus being able to deal a lot of damage as well. Now we move on to the epic brawlers, guys, and first up we have Piper with Ambush. Now Ambush, again, it's only really useful in maps that have bushes in them. For those reasons, Ambush has to go into the A tier. It's not in the C tier because it deals a lot of damage while you're in the bush. So if you hit all 3 shots in a bush with Ambush, you deal 2400 damage, which is good. Now with Snappy Sniping, all really skilled Piper players will always use Snappy Sniping, and it is an insane star power, guys. It is actually really good. I would say it has to go into the A tier for me, but it can be in the S tier as well, okay? It can be in the S tier as well. It depends from player to player. Alright, now we have the thick queen herself, Pam. Her first star power is Mama's Hug. Now Mama's Hug, it heals her and her teammates in a certain radius by 40 health with every pixel that she hits. Pixel, I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, so with this one, I would say it has to go into the B tier for me. It is useful, but if it gets buffs, it can be way better. Now Mama Squeeze is a wild card, I would say. I do like using Mama Squeeze. I think it's an okay star power, but it's nowhere close compared to Mama's Hug, right? Pretty much with her turret, whenever enemies are in the turret, they get hit by 500 damage. It's not really that useful, as most players wouldn't even get inside the turret. Because of that, I'll give it a C tier. Alright, next up we have Beefy Frank. His first star power is Power Grab, which increases his damage by 50% for 12 seconds. I'll put this in the C tier, guys. I would say it's not worth really using it. Why? Because his other star power is just way better. And speaking of his other star power, Sponge increases his health by 1100. Gives him over 10,000 health. He can tank a lot of hits. He can do a lot of things which he couldn't before. Because of that, I'll put this in the A tier, guys. Alright, now with BB, her first star power is home run. She increases her movement speed by 12%. Now with this one, I would say it is useful, but not really, because right now BB's other star power really synchronizes well with her gadget. So I'll put home run in the C tier, guys. Next up we have batting stance, which I was talking about earlier. She gets a shield which reduces damage by 30%. With BB's gadget, with the healing one, it is an incredible combination, and batting stance has to go into the B tier for me. Now we have B with Insta B load. Now Insta B load should only be used in 3v3 modes because it allows B's supercharged shot to have a second chance at hitting if you missed it the first time. It is very useful in Brawl Ball and Bounty, Gem Grab. It's a really good star power, so that is why Insta B load goes into the A tier. Next up we have Honey Coat. This star power should only be used in Showdown because it gives B a second life. Really, it's similar to Extra Life, but instead B survives on 1 HP. Again, this star power is amazing. It is really good, but only in Showdown. For those reasons, I'll put Honey Coat in the B tier. Alright, now we have Nani, however it's pronounced. First star power, autofocus. You should use autofocus if you're a really aggressive Nani, and if you want to use Peep to kill enemies. It's useful in almost every game mode really. So I'll put autofocus in the B tier. Now tempered steel is average. It is helpful to tank hits, while you're doing something else. It is again useful in almost every game mode. I would say in terms of usage and how good it is similar to autofocus in terms of how much it helps Nani. So tempered steel also goes into the B tier. Alright, now we move on to the mythic brawlers, and the first mythic brawler is the creature of the night. The creature of the night. We have Mortis with Creepy Harvest. Creepy Harvest, it's only useful in a few game modes, like for example, you have your Gem Grab, maybe Bounty. I'm not really sure. Only in those two game modes I would say. Because of that and how it can only be used in a few game modes, I'll put Creepy Harvest in the B tier. And next up, Coiled Snake. I'm pretty sure almost all of us know what it does. It is really useful in just covering the distance from Mortis and his enemy. It's very useful. I would put Coiled Snake in the S tier. We haven't had an S tier star power in a while. It is very useful for skilled Mortis players and also for players who aren't as skilled to help push in trophies. Coiled Snake is really good, S tier for me. Next up we have Tara, however it's pronounced. Black Portal first star power. In this, her shadow, it deals damage. This isn't that useful at all, guys. Compared to Tara's second star power, this isn't that useful. I have to put Black Portal in the C tier. And speaking of her second star power, Healing Shade, it heals her as well as her teammates, which is really good. And I think it's by 400 damage per second, something like that, I think is what it is. It is very useful, very helpful as well, mostly in 3v3 modes, also in Showdown and Duo Showdown. For me, it has to go into the A tier. Alright, now let's move on to Jean. Jean's first star power is Magic Puffs. Now with Magic Puffs, Jean can heal his teammates by 400 health per second, which I think is very useful in 3v3 modes. For those reasons, I will put Jean's Magic Puff star power in the A tier. Next up we have Spirit Slap. Now with Jean's other star power, Spirit Slap, it's only Jean's damage that is increased, and that too it's only increased when Jean has his super. So for those reasons, it's just not really that useful. I'll put it in the C tier. Alright, now we move on to Max, and Max's first star power is Supercharged. Now supercharged is it is useful in some places, but not as much as Max's other star power, but it is also really good. Both of them are solid. So for those reasons, I will put supercharged in the B tier. Now with Max's run and gun star power, Max is able to deal a lot of damage while moving, and that really helps because Max deals damage. That's what Max is best at. Dealing damage and making her teammates and herself run at a high speed. Now, so that is why run and gun it's best in showdown, but it is also really good in 3v3 modes. So I'll put this in the A tier. Next up we have Mr. P with Handle with Care. Now Handle with Care, obviously Mr. P gets added range onto his main attack, which I think is really useful because Mr. P's range isn't really that much. With Handle with Care, it is way better, it's way easier to attack opponents as well. So I'll put this in the B tier. Next up we have Revolving Door. It decreases the porter spawn time to 1 second. Now this is useful when there are a lot of walls around, so that then you won't have to, so that you will still have a bit more range, so that when you hit it with the walls, it will then bounce over. So it is useful in places where there are walls, a lot of walls. So it is still varied. Both star powers are really good. They're similar, so they have similar usage. So I'll put Revolving Door in the B tier as well. Next up we have Overgrowth with Sprout. Now Overgrowth, it would have definitely been an S tier star power earlier, but then with the nerf that Sprout got, it's just not useful anymore. It's not viable in the meta. For those reasons, again, it can't really be used. I have to put this in the C tier. Now we move on to the legendary brawlers, and the first one is Spike. Now his first star power is Fertilize. With Fertilize, I think it's mainly useful in showdown. Mainly in showdown, just because you want Spike to stay alive, just because it doesn't really have that much health. And for those reasons, I'll put it in the B tier. Next up we have Curveball, which is better for players who aren't that skilled with spikes, so that they can hit their shots easily. Again, I'll put this in the B tier as well. Next up we have Crow, and his first star power is Extra Toxic. Now with Extra Toxic, it's more of a defensive one, more of a defensive star power. It works well with his defense booster gadget as well, so that you can just tank a lot of hits. So if you're using them together, I would put it in the B tier. Now Crow should only be used in solo showdown, maybe duo showdown as well. It depends on your choice, but with Carrion Crow, man, it is so much better to play with Crow. Crow deals so much damage, it is insane. So I have to put Carrion Crow in the A tier. It is really good, really useful. I think it's better than Extra Toxic. Next up we have Leon with his Smoke Trail star power. This increases his movement speed while he has used his super. Now this helps Leon catch up to enemies or to maybe run away from them if you're in a bad situation. You know, for those reasons, I'll put this star power in the B tier. Next up we have Invisi-Heal, which I think has to be in the S tier. Hear me out. With Invisi-Heal, you can run away from opponents and go to others Leon sneaks onto opponents, right? Supposing if you're in a bad spot, you use your super, Invisi-Heal, you heal up, go to someone else, kill them, boom. Invisi-Heal, very useful in showdown. I think it is the best star power for showdown in terms of how much it helps the brawler. It is insane. You should only use Leon in showdown because that's where he is really useful. So I have to put this in the S tier. Next up we have Sandy with his Root Sand star power. Now with root stands, you do not let opponents heal while they're in your sandstorm because they'll keep on taking damage. You can also spot enemies in that way, which I think is really good. It's a decent counter to Leon's super as well. So overall, I think root stands goes to the B tier. And next up, we have healing winds with Sandy, which heals him and his teammates. It's not as useful as root stands, okay? It is useful in some scenarios. Supposing if you have like tanks on your team, they can keep on healing. But compared to root stands, it's just not that viable. Healing winds goes into the C tier for me. Now moving on to the chromatic brawlers. We have Surge first up with Blustery Blow. Now Blustery Blow, I'm not gonna say much about it. Straight up S tier for me. Now listen up. With Blustery Blow, right, you can stun enemies to a wall, and when you stun them, you just deal damage, and then you recycle your super, and the cycle goes on and on and on. It is an incredible star power, definitely S tier for me. Now compared to Gale's other star power, Second Wind, it is nowhere close to Blustery Blow. Second Wind is only useful in 3v3 modes, and even in 3v3 modes, it is not very useful. Don't use Second Wind, please. It's not useful at all. Second Wind for me goes into the C tier. And now the final brawler, Surge, to the max. To the max, it helps Surge a lot in hitting other opponents. With the split, it's very useful. For me, this has to go into the A tier. And with his other star power, Serve Ice Cold, keeping his stage 1 super after he's dead and when he respawns. First of all, it's not at all useful in solo showdown. In 3v3 modes, it's an okay star power, but nothing compared to his first star power to the max, which is just way better than his second one. For those reasons, I have to put Serve Ice Cold into the C tier. Now, I want to know what you guys thought of this tier list. Please let me know your opinions in the comment section down below. Now, I will also be making a gadgets tier list once most of the second gadgets have come out for all of the brawlers. I don't know when that will happen, but whenever that does, I'll make a video rating all of the gadgets as well. Okay guys, so that is it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.